Good morning, listeners. This is Lady Halale. We are having a morning talk show. Today's topic is community involvement in clinical trials. And viewers, we have a number where you can drop us your views. You can write us a message. The number is 444 as usual. Our lines are open. You can call us. We'll be collecting your views and we'll be reading some of your messages as we continue. Today with me in the studio, I'm your popular presenter, Peter Pleb. Today in the studio, we have one of the most vocal community activists. His name is, maybe you can hear his voice.
Thank you, Mr. Pleb. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show so that we can share some of the work that we are doing in this community, fighting for the right things for the communities.
So did you say your name?
So, as you said, my name is Ntando.
Yes, and he's actually called Namb. What a good name.
Actually, I'm not Namb anymore now.
Oh, you changed your name.
Because we cannot be Namb if we have to fight for the right issues of the community.
Definitely,
Yes.
It can always be exciting. So this morning, I want Mr. Ntando to bring us to speed about this important issue. In Harare, Zimbabwe, we have one and the only vaccine trial. And we have been fighting for such an opportunity where Zimbabweans can have a great contribution towards the fight against HIV/AIDS and maybe aid in the development of this vaccine that's gonna help our people and help the world over. And here in Ntando, I hear like there's some labeling in the community. We are not sure what is happening. Please bring us to speed about that.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to your show again. And one of the things, first, before I start, I must show you some of the awards because of my work that I do.
Wow! Viewers, Ntando is a 2013 AVAC Advocacy Fellow.
Yeah.
Will you tell us what it is?
I will tell you more about this, but first things first. One of the most important things, since I came to your show last year talking about the research that you are talking about as part of of trying to find options that are going to help people help the prevention of HIV. And one of the things, as I had mentioned last year, I want to announce first to the listeners that as I was on my way to your station, I received an email from the Medical Research Council telling us that they have put aside an amount of about 150,000 rands for community involvement and community engagement here in Harare. So that is very good news that I wanted to share with you.
Great.
So one of the things that, you know, as you can remember, I think I came here and spoke to you about a situation, as you have explained, that as we are moving forward with a lot of trials to try and find a means for protecting biomedical products that can protect people from HIV, I presented here a situation whereby we have researchers who are doing their science alone, and they are working closely with the communities where they are testing the products that we are looking forward to. And you also have in this country people who are also doing a lot of work. They call themselves advocates and activists, driving a lot of work around HIV and AIDS and TB and STIs. And we also have, and we call those people civil society. And then we have these people who are implementing, who are taking care like government, who are making sure that, you know, there are policies in place to make sure that things are happening appropriately. So the situation I presented to you, Mr. Pleb, is that these people are very, very disintegrated. They are doing their things on their own. And this does not help the cause of the work that you are doing. So I went out, as you have seen that I've received this important award. We set out a project to try and make sure that we bring all these people, we find a way that is going to be structured, that is going to bring all of these people together, so that we can have platforms where we can have meaningful conversations, for instance, on how do we make sure that even though the science is doing a great work, is doing important work to help us with biomedical prevention options like vaccines, like PLEP, as I know you like to talk about, as well as any other products like microbicides, which are ARV-based for prevention of HIV. They are doing great, the scientists are doing a lot of good work and researchers, but now this work cannot continue without having the communities as well as civil society being part of this. So we set out this project to see how can we have a way that is going to make sure that we find platforms where these trials are happening in communities as well as in provinces and as well as at a national level, where we bring all these important people, and we call these people stakeholders, so that they are together and we can have very, very helpful conversations. We ask important questions, we ask very serious questions about the way we are going in terms of research, but as well we look forward to see if we find any of these products, what does it mean for different populations that are affected by HIV in our communities. So this is what we are doing in terms, this is what we have done in the past year, and I'm happy to get this opportunity to try and come to you and say we have had a very good year and a lot of these things, and maybe you might want to hear what those things are.
Wow, marvelous, fantastic. This is what we have been wishing to hear, where we have an inclusion of everyone. I know we have the various stakeholders out there, and I think we have a call. Ntando, let's hear what this call is saying. We have a caller.
Hello?
Yes?
I hear what you're saying.
Hi, who are we talking to?
You're speaking to Ruby from Chitungwiza.
Hi, Ruby. Chitungwiza, I think we met. What do you have to say, Ruby?
Well, I hear what Mr. Ntando was doing all this time. He's talking very well. But where was he doing it? Because we didn't hear about him. So I'm wondering which stakeholders he got involved. He's talking about the community. Which community? We didn't hear about him in Chitungwiza. So I'm not really sure where he was really working in. So if he can probably tell us the different communities and the different stakeholders, when they say stakeholders, who are they really talking about? Because these people, these advocates, have a problem. They take their researchers and their advocates and they sit at the table and eat donor funding when we are suffering in the communities. So he should elaborate who he called and sat on the table.
Yes, Ntando, you can hear.
Very important question is that, what did you say your caller is?
She's called Luby.
This is a very important question, and because we are such a big country, and it was not very possible to go to one of the places where Lumbi is, and I would be interested because this work is continuing, and we want to go to where Lumbi is. But what we have done is really to target certain communities where we have clinical trials taking place. And within those communities, we have looked at the systems that are provided through our national strategic plan, and then went we have systems at a national level, at a provincial level, and a community level, which I suspect is where Lumbi is coming from. Yeah. So maybe where she is, there is no trial happening, but at least to try and hear exactly, to respond to the issue that he is raising, that we call ourselves advocates and we do work, but we do not hear from them. So we went to these communities where we have structures that are called community advisory boards. And these community advisory boards in these research sites are working closely with other partners that are responding to health issues within the community. So we brought them together in one room, and we wanted to hear from them about certain guidelines that are out there that are helping to make sure that these communities are part of the research and their voices and their interests are heard as part of the research. So I think going forward, to answer Lumbi's call, is to say, we're going to have plans as we're going to be working closely with certain important groups that are within the National Strategic Council, the AIDS Council of our country.
Great. So we have an email here from one of our people who are actually, it's from a Twitter. And saying, yes, yes. Would you explain, would you tell Ntando to explain the importance of ethics and how they have considered the stakeholders' engagement? I think this must be coming from a researcher.
No, from is it a researcher?
Yeah, well. The handle, the Twitter handle is GPP.
I love it. So yes, so I think the researcher knows about GPP, which are global guidelines that help us in the process of research, because they are guidelines that came about when there were problems with trials that are taking place, but are not including the people who are if you like, you can say the end users of the products, or even people who are very concerned about, you know, the issues of HIV and AIDS in the country. So we have these GPP guidelines that are very global, and the work that we have been doing in the past, they have been very much based on these GPP guidelines. So these the GPP guidelines are good participatory practice guidelines.
So you're talking of a tool called GPP?
Yes.
Good participatory practice?
Yes.
Wow, what a development we are having. This is happening in our time.
Yeah. So I think ethics, if you go back to the question,
yes.
And I like that you are excited about these
sure.
guidelines, because they are guidelines that we need. But you know, to highlight that part of this process is to make sure that the trials that are happening in these communities are ethical, and they really, so the question of ethics is making sure that the communities are heard, their voices and their interests are part of the whole process of research.
So recently there was a demonstration, and there was a slogan that they were saying, nothing for us without us.
Nothing for us
yes.
without us.
So
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.